What up, everybody? Welcome back to season 2, episode 1 of the DBL podcast. Man, it's been a long time, but it feels good to put this mic back in my hand, the headphones on my head, and just sit up here and chop it up with my favorite people right now. So, you already know about the voice. So, if it gets rough, my bad. I'll pause it, get my voice cleared up, and come on back at you, okay? So, let's just get down to it. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about that old Nash little demon, the breakup. And like I told you, man, we're going to do these episodes. They're going to be, from a normal place of fact based information. But it's going to be a little bit more blood raw with more of my opinion in it. But today we're going to talk about the breakup. You know why the breakup? Well, the breakup is very simple. At some point, you've either been broken up with or you've had a reason to do the breakup. Now, I've never broken up with a single person in my life. I've had a lot of them that I should have broke up with, but I'm not finna break up with anybody. And it's simply because there's a part of me that does not want to be the cause of that pain, that hurt, that heartbreak. I'd rather take it on the chin and accept it for what it is on my end. I've had a lot of reason to walk away, but I choose to stay because, like I said, I'd rather not put, that woman through that type of pain. Now, doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. That's just my method. Just like some people, like to do it through text message. Some like to do it over the phone. Some like to pretend like they don't know anything. Some like to pretend like they don't care. But with women, it's a different type of beast when it comes to a breakup. Because women, once they're done, they're done. Doesn't matter how great of a guy you was. Doesn't matter how good of a man they think you are. Doesn't matter if you're husband material. Doesn't mean if you're a great father. None of that matters. When they decide to pull that release cord, they're out, and that's cool. But as a man, we're not built that way. We're gonna always, because we care about you from day one. Okay, and so when we care about people, we choose not to pretend like you never existed or that you never had any value. We try to let it down easy. Now again, some of you, what I'm saying, you need to be dropped on your head, but it is what it is, right? But for the most part, most men will let you get whatever it is you got to get out. They let you vent however you need to vent and get it done. Now, when I say men, we're not talking about somebody just because they got something hanging between their legs. We're talking about the ones that's got, what I'm saying, been raised right, the ones that's been around other men, that's got some male influence, positive male influence. These are the men that we're talking about right now. And so us as men, we try to make sure that we don't forget about the good times. Most women could care less about the good times because those bad moments is the only thing that they'll ever remember. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. To each his own. But when you're going to make that decision to walk away from somebody, there is a few things that, you have to do because if you don't do it correctly, they don't just go away. You have to understand that. They don't just go away because they thinking about, and men and women, they're thinking about all of the things that you've told them, how much you love them, how much you want to be with them. You my last breath. I can't live without you. Yada yada yada. All the normal BS that that people kick out. Men and women, not just women, but men and women. And then the moment the shit hits the fan, all of a sudden they go left, they go right. But none of those other things matter. But there are some key things that must happen if you want this, and it might be the wrong word to use, smooth transition, but if you want it to be a transition means that keeps going, smooth flowing, going to the next level. There are some things that you have to do. And the first thing you must do whenever you want to decide to break up with somebody, and this one is probably the absolute most important one, and most women ain't going to like this one, but the most essential thing that you must do when you're doing a breakup, you got to physically be there. Listen, if you're that little clickbait that likes to do it through a text message, go play in traffic. You know what I mean? If we and we're not and also I want to make sure I say this before I go any further. We're not talking about no short term relationships. We're talking about long term relationships. We're talking about some commitment, some things that y'all done built together, some things that y'all done set up together as a unit, as one. Okay? This is what we're talking about. You got to be present when you break up with somebody. And I'm not saying that you need to be, I'm saying you have to be present because it shows that other person that the relationship was important. Your objective never changes. Your objective does not change. You're coming there for a reason to do what needs to be done. But when you're doing it through a text message, you're asking that person to sort through their feelings through a text message that you probably just said, I'm done. I don't want to do this no more. It's over. Fuck you. Go play in traffic. Okay? These people was in this relationship with you. This is somebody that at some point meant something to you. And you wonder the reason why your relationships, your next relationships never work out. The reason why there's a need for a bounce back or a rebound is because you keep leaving bodies everywhere you go. So if you like to leave text messages, you're probably the worst out of the group because there was no emotions that come with a text message. You send a text message, you already blocked them, and so this person is struggling with this. This person isn't gonna leave you alone because this person doesn't know why that's the way it had to end. Not the fact that it had to end, but that's the reason why or the way it had to end. Then you got the ones who like to do it through a phone call. What, you think because you talk to a person? You got to remember, most people do it through a phone call because they know that if they're in front of that person, they're going to be weak and they can't do it. Some people don't do it because they think they're going to be an asshole about it. Whichever one your thing is, you still have to be present because we're looking for closure. And we talked about this already in season 1. You got to give people closure, whether you want to or not. If you decide you're going to commit to a person, they can cheat on you. Listen, they know that you walked away because they're cheating. But having that conversation, that present conversation in person, that's a whole nother conversation. Because you want that person to plead their case. You want that person to get it out their system. You want them to see you physically tell them, no, we're not doing this no more. It's over. I'm done. Don't leave no loose edges. Don't give them reason for hope. Don't give them reason to believe that there's a possibility. And everybody is not capable of verbal communication. But if you're not capable of it, that means you probably didn't need to be in a relationship anyway. Everybody plays a role in that relationship. Everybody plays a role in the get together. So why shouldn't everybody play a role in the breakup? Again, just because you're verbally having a conversation doesn't mean your objective changes. You're there for the breakup. This is about being able to transition. Because the worst thing that a person can think is, because when you tell me through a text message, I'm going to automatically assume it's somebody else. When you don't tell me physically to my face that it's over, I'm going to assume it's somebody else. Now the anger part kicks in. Now we start going to the part of name calling. And everybody likes to pretend like they're above this, but when your heart is into it, as a man, when your heart is into it and you've given your all, even when you fall short of giving your all, you still have a level of respect that is due to you. Because as a man, we look at it from the standpoint of, I've given you everything. Even on my best days and even on my worst days, I've given you everything. And this is how you choose to walk away from me. Most women don't understand what that means. And there are some guys that don't understand what that means. Like I said, this ain't no one-sided conversation. But I'm speaking from a male point of view, somebody that's been through it quite a few times. Somebody that's been through it recently in their life. And I'm trying to tell you, that phone conversation breakup is BS. That text message conversation, I wish nothing but the worst on you. I hope your next relationship, he get with you, make you love him, get you to the altar and leave you standing there. That's how I feel about the text message because it's BS. The whole time you've been together, that's the best you can do when it's time to walk away. Like I said, the objective does not change, okay? But, and I don't want to spend too much time on just one simple thing, right? But being present is everything. In order for us to be together, we both had to be present. To date, to go out, to go hang out, family interactions, all these different things, right? We both had to be present. But all of a sudden now you want to walk away and you feel like you don't have to be present. That's bull. And you know it. Don't let anybody tell you differently. No matter what you want to lie to yourself about, you need to be present. But another thing you must do when, you're going through the breakup, right? You got to be very specific in that breakup. Show the other person the respect, providing them the closure. We already talked about this. Closure is very important, not just for the person that got broke up with, but also for the person in that that is doing the breaking up. Because if you don't do it right, and if you really cared about that person, right, you're going to cause them nothing but hurt, nothing but pain. It's hard enough to lose you. But when you're not specific and giving them the closure that you both need, you're going to fail at no matter what you do, because that person isn't going to let go. That person doesn't know how to let go. And what happens is that they keep pulling on those heartstrings. They keep pulling on those heartstrings. And they're going to keep trying. They're going to keep putting the effort, making themselves look stupid, embarrassing you, embarrassing themselves, putting themselves out there for you to have to keep telling them no, to keep telling them no, and keep telling them no. What are you gaining from that? Because I don't care who you are. If you ever love someone, what you don't want to do is break up with them through a text or a phone call, right? Or you do it personally, but you just say it's over and walk away. Being present, that can't be all you say. Because again, we're talking about the closure part of this, right? Being specific. If you give them the details, again, most of the time you know what you did, right? But if you keep leaving hope, this is the person that you once cared about and loved. You've already broken up with them. You destroyed them. And then they plead their case again later on. I love you. I want to be with you. Whoop, whoop, blah, blah, blah. Give me a chance to fix it. You decided that you're not going to do it. Guess what you got to do? You got to tell them no. They offer this. You got to tell them no. They suggest that. You got to tell them no. And every time you tell them no, you're tearing them down more and more and more. You don't know what tomorrow may bring. And there's a chance, because there's always a chance, that you may end up back together later on in life, different day. Maybe somebody grew up, maybe somebody didn't, whatever. There's always a chance, whether it happens or not. But the only thing that person is going to think about is how many times you destroyed them, because you choose to take the punk way out on your way out. So you got to be very specific in what it is you're trying to tell a person. It's hard. This is part of the reason why I don't ever want to be the one that breaks up. I felt the hurt that comes from it. As macho as I want to be, men don't love everybody. And then when we do love, we love hard. We love until we cannot. And then if you show me a hope or a glimmer, we love again. It starts all the way over again. Women may not understand that. I can't speak for a woman. But as a man, we don't just tap out just because that's the easiest way to go. So since we know that that's a possibility, why not do it right the first time so that you don't have to continue tearing that person down? That is a hard, hard feeling. That's a hard pill to swallow. That is a hard rock to sit on, because you're trying to figure out a way to get back to the love that you once had. And then this person just continues to beat you down. So that's why it's so important that you're very specific in what it is that you're saying to them during that breakup while you're present. You don't have to do it the same day. You may choose to walk away, but at some point you have to walk back and have a conversation with that person. Make sure you get it out the way, because again, this is somebody you cared about. They could have treated you like nothing. But this is a person that you personally cared about. And when you care about people, you don't just leave them on a string. Even to the person that cheated on you. Even to the person that told you that they didn't want to be with you no more and don't know why. Even for the person that broke up with you, gave you the courtesy to break up with you and go to somebody else. Giving that closure is not only for the person that got broke up with, but it's also for yourself. You can say, without a shadow of a doubt, you can go to sleep and say, I did everything I could. I gave it all I had. And in the end, I gave it all I had to make sure that he or she understood why you walked away. You can't do no more than the best you can do. But if you don't even try, because it's easier to just pretend like they never existed, you're causing more pain than even you probably intended to cause. Because again, the walk away is going to be painful enough. But on this next one, a lot of you are going to probably think that I'm crazy. But this next one is almost as important as being present when you do the breakup. You want to break up with a person, hopefully, in their home. Now, again, we're not talking about the sporadic breakup. We're talking about, you know what, I can't do this no more. And here's why. We're talking about that type of breakup, right? A person being at home, you got to remember, you're present. You do the breakup, they're already hurting. This is a person you cared about. Imagine, fellas, this woman that you loved, that you've committed yourself to, that you call your whatever title you want to give your woman that you truly love with everything in you. Imagine her crying, driving home because you broke up at the park or you broke up at your house because it was easier for you. Imagine her driving home, eyes watering, bloodshot red, and they get into an accident. I don't give a damn who you are or what reason that person broke up, that they broke up with you or you broke up with them. If they're in the hospital shortly after leaving you and you just broke up with them, you're going to be at that hospital. Emotions are real because they become vulnerable. They become weak. They become sympathetic. And for whatever reason you have, you start to feel what you've always felt for them. Ladies, imagine that man, that macho man that doesn't care, but he shows himself through his anger. Imagine him driving home. Imagine him hopping on a motorcycle. And he's angry. He's upset. He's hurt. He doesn't know how to express it. Most men don't. He doesn't know how to express it. And he's driving reckless, not paying attention to what's going on. He's calling you, trying to reach out to you. And he hits something, hits someone, kills himself or kills someone else. This is why you don't want that person traveling in a high emotional state. You want them to sit still. You want them to have time. You want them to put you out. Again, your objective didn't change. You did what you had to do. You did the breaking up. But at least they're there where they need to be for them to process and deal with it in their own home. It's easier to deal with things in your own personal space. Because if nothing else, I can tell you to get out. I can tell you, get out of my freaking face. I can tell you to get away from me before I do something stupid. But I can process it in my home. You can head over to Chick-fil-A. Get you something to eat and move on with your life. No harm, no foul. You dig? So, the first thing I brought up is you want to be present. The second thing is you want to be specific. But the third thing, which is just almost equivalent to that first one, try to do it in a safe place for that person. Because again, I'm trying to pull at your heartstring. This is somebody you cared about. You want to walk away. You're not wishing harm on them. You want to be able to walk away and move on with your life without having to live with regret that you did it this way and this happened to this person because of that. Nobody wants to get that phone call, I'm about to kill myself. That's not what you want. So, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with what I'm trying to tell you, there's a right and a wrong way to do everything. When a relationship ends, right, everybody's hurt. The person that got broken up with, they're destroyed. The person that had to do the breaking up, think about it. There's a reason. If you're really in love with this person, There is something that happened that made you have to come to that point of saying it's over. And so everybody's hurt. You know what I'm saying? And so the partner who's been broken up with, right? Their experience is it's a sudden shock. It's a loss. It's the end of a relationship. I'm trying to tell you that there's a reason why people, when they break up, you know what I'm saying, the person's always at their house, showing up at their job. Okay? There's a reason why she won't stop calling you. She done rung you about 67 times. There's a reason why you got to change your number. There's a reason why you got to cuss him out. There's a reason why you got to put your brother on him, or you got to tell your sister, go handle that. There's a reason why. But the reason ain't because this person can't accept the breakup. It's because it wasn't done correctly. You talking about every time I go to the mall, he at the mall. Every time I go on a date with my girl, she out. She at the same place. Because you're probably going to the same place doing the same thing. That was y'all place. But just because you moved on, they're supposed to stop going. There's a reason why they keep making your next relationship toxic, threatening the new man. You know what I'm saying? Got our homegirls loked up trying to go meet the new chick and beat her up. There's a reason why they say you got a new ugly female. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why he tried to tell you that you got a little simp ass dude. You know what I'm saying? That's what you replaced me with. Because they never got that closure. They never got an understanding. Like I said, there's a reason why. But the one thing during the breakup isn't, you know what I'm saying, no one is immune to the pain. Nobody. Pain is real. The person that breaks up, you're walking away from somebody that you wanted to give your everything to. The person that you wanted to commit your everything to. The person that you wanted to see you, or you allowed to see you in your weakest moments. This is the man that built a relationship with your children. This is the woman that stepped up when your child's mother wouldn't step up. This is the one that stepped up and gave your child, male or female, that positive female role model. That when you wanted to be freaky on the sofa, she thought about them first. That guy who got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and went to work while you sat at home all day. That person that allowed you to sit back and do nothing, get your life together, go to school, get yourself together. This is that same person that we're talking about. So that pain is real. So when you first, you know what I'm saying, when you're contemplating the breakup, you know what I'm saying, you got to recognize that, you know what I'm saying, in effect of ending a relationship, it's not going to be the only thing at stake. I done met your mom. I got a relationship with your mom. Your mom said I'm the best thing that you ever brought home. Her brothers don't deal with no motherfucker that she bring home, but yet they rock with you. The friends that you guys have together, they got to pick and choose who they get in the divorce. Don't sound like much, but it's a whole lot. So just breaking up with a person ain't that simple. And the worst part about breakup is those people that have small kids. This is why more and more men are choosing not to date women with kids. It ain't because he's a bad dude. It ain't because he don't like kids. It ain't because he ain't feeling you. It's because when you break up, you take the kids. Doesn't matter how much your kid hurts. Doesn't matter how much your kids miss him. You take that kid, and this person is still trying to be in a relationship with them, but you can't be. So breaking up ain't just me and you splitting up. These kids are caught up in the middle. Friends are caught up in the middle. If you guys have built anything together, most men leave you the house. They walk away with nothing. What are you supposed to do? You got a business together. You got taxes involved with each other. You were building to a place of marriage. You were building something of longevity. So just walking away and breaking up isn't as simple as just breaking up and walking away. Most women choose not to date men with multiple kids' mothers. The reason being is because they don't want the drama. So they date a man that's got one kid or one kid's mother, whatever the case may be. In that breakup, everybody is affected. And if you spend enough time in the company of another person, right, of that other person, if you've ever shared any feelings, physical emotions, emotional intimacy, you guys are bonded, connected. There was a time when I was younger that people stayed together because it was easy. It was familiar. And then my generation came along and we chose not to stick if it got too hard. And then now we got the new generation that says, don't stay with anything. If the person snores, walk away. If you don't like the shoes that he wear, walk away. If you don't like the fact that she can't cook, walk away. Sad part about this whole equation is you got people my age, 47 years old, that's taking notes from kids. Okay? You need to consolidate those positive memories of their relationship as you move forward with your life. Because sometimes the breakup isn't just a breakup. Sometimes the breakup isn't just a breakup. Because things are tied up inside that breakup other than just us being together. Me and my ex, me and her mom could talk all the time. And the crazy part about it was neither one of us was big talkers, but we could talk about nothing. Make it easy. Because we had something in common. And it wasn't, I like the way she cooked or I like the way she combed her hair. It ain't because she liked how tall I was. It was you. It was you. You know, and so you got to understand that, you know, breakups are hard. We've all been through them. So those positive memories, you have to go through them. You got to think about them. You got to share them. And sometimes you got to ask yourself, is what I want to do more than what I'm willing to lose? Sometimes the answer is yes. Okay? And you got to move forward with your life, whichever direction. Sometimes it means going a boomerang, going in reverse, going back and grabbing your partner and bringing them along with you. Sometimes that means leaving them in the dirt. Sometimes that means moving away. Sometimes that means starting over. Whatever that means, right? You want to accept the reasons the relationship didn't work while also retaining that ability, you know what I'm saying, to look back at that person with a warm heart. You want to be able to look back at them and say, you know, I know I had to leave you, but I still love you. And that's okay. Because this is all about the transition. Because the person you're breaking up with, you know what I'm saying, they deserve the same. They need to know you still cared. Whatever reason they gave you for the breakup, they need to know you still cared, and hell, you pushed their back against the wall, and that's where we are now. And that's okay. The objective does not change, but how we do things can change everything. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy part is that, you know, when you need to experience the breakup, you know, it becomes overwhelming. And those good memories, sometimes they get blinded. But sometimes when you do things to people, they can't see past the hurt. Sometimes that hurt comes up in ways that they didn't expect it to come up. So what are they supposed to do with that? They don't know, you don't know. But somebody has to know what to do with those feelings. Because hate it or love it, this relationship is crashing. It's coming to an end. And it wouldn't be fair to cast, what I'm saying, anyone in a bad light for their decision for their own life. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of hurtful ways to do it. Ghosting the person ain't it. So even though it hurts when a relationship dies, right? Your intentions in taking steps to end it should minimize the damage caused by that said crash. Okay? So you probably asking yourself, well, hell, what am I supposed to do? End the relationship as soon as you don't want to go any further. The correct way, though. Putting off the inevitable will not, change it. It's only going to cause the relationship to go backwards even further. It's going to cause a decline. It's going to cause some anger. And if you do it, if you keep stalling by doing it, what ends up happening is you end up causing anger. You end up causing animosity. You end up causing this person, like I said, the name calling part, the anger part. They can't stand you. They don't ever want to see you again. Remember, y'all got things tied up between you. And this person doesn't want to have anything to do with you anymore because you chose to do it instead of prolonging it. This is intended for ladies because most women, they walk away mentally before they walk away physically. That's why when a woman cheats, it hurts more. As a man, I can tell you right now, sex is an act. It has nothing to do with how I feel. Sex does not make me love you. But as a woman, you're physically and mentally connected with who you sleep with, whether you want to be a gangster about it or not. We are who we are. Okay? So that's why most guys, when they cheat, they don't even see it as that. They see it as an act. Women see it completely different. Logically standing, emotionally standing, those two are not the same. But when you decide to walk away, at that moment, walk away. Have that conversation. Put your cards on the table. And see if you can figure out how to make it work until you find a place, he finds a place, you get a card, they get a card, whatever. Some people just leave everything. I leave everything. It is what it is. I told you already, you want to break up in person. It's essential that you physically be present to show that other person that they did mean something to you at some point. Your objective doesn't change. You know what I'm saying? Your objective doesn't change. Like I told you, if you text, I can't stand you. If you do it through a phone call, you get a little leeway, but it got to be done in person. I want to look you in the face. I need you to look me in my face and tell me that it's over. I need you to tell me so I know you're not looking at me the same anymore. So I know that love is no longer in your eyes. Because once you see it, you feel it. And once you feel it, you know you ain't got no choice but to accept it. There is no more effort. There is nothing else I can do. I can't get that through a phone call. You can't get that through a text message. You got to be honest about your feelings. It's going to hurt no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Acknowledge the real issues involved. You cheated on me. And it ain't because you cheated. It's because I had to find out. You didn't even have the courtesy to tell me. I don't like the fact that I got to eat out of a bag every time I come home. I told you in the beginning, I like home cooked meals when I'm going on the road. Be honest. What you told me you was, you didn't live up to. Not what you thought that person was, but what they told you they was. Those are two different conversations. Because if you made me a man that I'm not, I just posted something on my Facebook page. Excuse me. And it says that you keep putting people in positions that they're not capable of. And every time you put them in that position, they fail. When you love someone, when you care for someone, you don't put them in positions to fail. And then let that be the reason that you walked away. You knew what their capabilities was. If you know I can't read, why do you keep taking me places and tell me, baby, read the menu and order for us? You know I can't. If you know I got a disability in my left arm, why do you keep giving me things, heavy things to lift when you know I can't? Take responsibility for your decisions. Acknowledge. You know what I'm saying? That excuse me, that you want it rather than blaming the other person. Let them inherit their own closure. You can only do so much to close the door for everyone. But you have to put forth some type of effort. Because again, somebody you care about. You got to understand that. There's one thing in relationships that the people that have broken up with me, and I'm speaking from a personal experience, right? I wish the other person would listen. Not with your ears, but with your heart. Because what happens is you can hear me and not have to defend your decision. You can hear me. You can answer questions. It ain't defending it. Again, if it's somebody that you care about, you have to give them a little bit more effort than what it is that you're giving them. And so it's very important that when you're breaking up with someone, hear what they got to say. Sometimes misunderstandings can be cleared up. Sometimes information that you didn't know will come out. Sometimes something that they wanted to tell you, but they couldn't tell you, they can finally tell you. Because as a man, we never want to hurt your feelings. But if it's over, I can't care about your feelings anymore. I got to be honest because that's what we're doing right now. We're being honest. You're being honest about not wanting to be here. I can be honest about why things are the way they are. So you got to be willing to listen. But there's a lot of times what you don't want to do in a relationship when you break up with somebody, don't do it in public. You know what I'm saying? Don't do it in public. There's a reason why I told you in the beginning, do this at home in a safe place for that person. Because that's a lot to calibrate. That's a lot to calibrate. That's a lot to not be able to understand and process. And if I feel like you've embarrassed me, I'm going to react. I'm going to respond. I'm going to do all those things that I normally wouldn't do because you did something that you normally wouldn't do. I told you in the beginning, don't ever embarrass me. You know what I'm saying? You're going to probably be questioned for the reasons for the breakup. And it's going to be a lot easier for that person, you know what I'm saying, if it's in a safe space, semi-private location, somewhere where they can hear it, not in front of other people, but somewhere where they can hear what you got to say. They can look at you and feel what it is you're trying to tell them. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to do it at your own house. Do it at theirs. Get over with. You don't want to go pick somebody up, bring them to your house, break up with them, and then guess what? Now you got this crazy ride all the way back home. What sense does that make? Don't break up with somebody while you out of town. Don't do it while you're on vacation. Suck it up. Get back home. Give them the cold shoulder. Whatever it is you got to do. Because what happens is you run that risk of being left. Being honest with you. You run that risk of being left. You run that risk of that person canceling your flight. You run that risk of that person taking your rental car and going home. Again, don't embarrass them. Two wrongs don't make it right. Make a left, but it don't make it right. Don't offer them no false hope. If you out, you out. Put it out there. If you're certain you want to break up, it's better to leave the relationship. It's better to not leave that relationship with open-endedness. Don't hang around and then go away. Because you done broke up with me. You done hurt me again and again. And you keep giving me hope. Be certain about what it is that you want to do. Because the worst thing you can actually do, because when you break up with someone, tell them you don't want to do it, then you hang around. Y'all still being physical. Y'all still hanging out. still doing all these different things. That person is getting hope that at some point you're going to change your mind. But you never do. They keep asking. The only way they can keep asking is because you're still in contact and they're trying it. It's hard. Don't try to downshift a relationship into a friendship. Because I treat my friends a certain way. And I guarantee you, I ain't cooking for them. I ain't paying bills. I ain't loving them. I ain't hanging out with their family. I ain't doing any of that. So it may feel like a way to cushion the blow for that other person, but it actually causes a lot more uncertainty. And you run the risk of having to hurt this person even more. The goal has always been to allow the other person to be able to look back on a relationship as a good thing, not to change anything to something less than we define. You can be friends. I'm not telling you that you can't. Hell, in fact, anybody I've ever been in a relationship with, we're still cool. But I don't hang out with my friends. Hell, not even men. I don't hang out. So I'm not finna hang out with a female friend. I'm gonna be there for you. Anybody that knows me, I tell you, it doesn't matter what level we break up on. I'm always gonna be on the other end of the phone if you need me, because that's who I am. I'm not a woman. I don't know how to just turn you off and pretend like you don't exist. I'm not built that way. Okay? Don't sit up here and devalue the other person. You guys have both been important to each other. So try to show the other person your appreciation, you know what I'm saying, for his or her good qualities. Because those things are relevant. Again, transition. Transition. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to make the other person feel better. Even as you're breaking up with them. Don't try to make them feel better. Because you can't be a part of your ex support's network. You can't be a part of that after the relationship is over. I've tried it before. I know the hurt that it caused. And I try to be that support system. I'm speaking from personal experience. They broke up with me. Remember, I don't do the breaking up. They broke up with me. I tried to be the support system to make it easier. The signals were so mixed and crossed up. I legitimately thought we was back in a relationship again. Because we did everything that we normally do. It confuses everything. This is why you don't want to have sex with an ex. We can be friends. But it's after time has passed. We can get together physically and have sex after time has passed. To do it after you've tried to break up doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anybody. There's a right and a wrong way to love someone, and there's a right and a wrong way to leave someone. This episode on the breakup was legitimately a part of my life. Things that I've been through, things that other people go through. That's why I'm trying to give it to you from a personal experience, but also from a factual standpoint. I want everybody to look forward to these next episodes that I have coming up. I'm trying to give it to you from a different point of view. You know what I'm saying? You might be able to separate yourself from the grief, from the loss. And a lot of times people can't. If you're not sure if you want to break up with someone, take a break. Separate. Spend some time apart. The first marriage counselor I ever went to, the first thing he told us was me and my wife, he committed adultery. They broke up. That was her biggest deal breaker. 10 years later, they found their way back to each other. And the biggest thing is he told me is that we did it correctly. We broke up correctly. I knew what I did. She explained to me why she had to do what she had to do. We had a conversation. It ain't that she loved me any less. It's that she needed to figure herself out. to figure out was her deal breaker worth her losing everything that we had built. And I'm listening to this man, and he's telling me this while she's sitting there. I never saw the hurt come back across her face. And then when she started to talk, she said she didn't know if she could go forward. And she didn't know for a while. She dated. She got involved. She tried to move on with her life because the deal breaker was she couldn't deal with a man who would cheat on her. Most people say that. But as time went on, they ran across each other again. And then they slowly started to date again. And they spent time together. And I was really listening to her more than him because he's the one who committed the act. So I really have an understanding when a woman has been cheated on. I've done the cheating before. So I really have an understanding. But when you have a conversation, when you talk to people and you do it correctly, there's always a possibility. May not be today. It may be later on. The one thing that she said that stood out was her circle changed. Everybody that she knew that knew them, she told them what they did, and they felt some type of way about him. But after 10 years, she had new friends. She was in a different mindset. She surrounded herself with different people, positive people, who told her that if she wanted to be back with her husband, she could, because their relationship wasn't up to them. And so that is the one thing that we must learn or relearn as a people. Everything is possible. Everything is forgivable. Everything comes down to, do you want to? And when you want to, you're capable of anything. You got to want to start over. And if the person wants to be back in that relationship, they got to be willing to start over because that's their way back in. That means that we got to date. It means we got to go to movies. It means we got to get phone calls, video chats, write love letters, cards, holidays, all these different things. Everything is possible as long as you want to. Okay? These are just some simple things that I'm trying to put out there to you. You stand a good chance of putting a clear and respectful end to a relationship in a way that will allow each of you someday to look back and appreciate the time that the both of you spent together. And that may not mean a lot to a lot of people. But if I mean something to you, if you mean something to me, I want us to be able to have a conversation. I want us to be able to laugh again. You know, there's a lot of different stages to breakups. People don't want to accept that. You know what I'm saying? You fought to hold on to that relationship to a point where it being all consumed. You don't want to believe that it's actually ending. You can't believe it. Even if the relationship was awful and unbearable, it was something that you became accustomed to. And you don't want to give it up. And it still becomes clear that the relationship has to end. But you still feel, if you still feel anything, and it's okay. Because again, I loved you. You loved me. We just can't be together right now. And so the moment you get off the phone with your ex, or you know what I'm saying, the texting finally stopped, or you leave the other person's space, you experience that withdrawal. People want what they can't have. Sometimes people tell you that it's over. They don't mean that it's over. They want you to fight for them. Not all the time. You know what I'm saying? You go through withdrawal. You got to figure out how to deal with it. There are things that you relied on that other person for. You got to find a way to do it on your own now. And it comes to that relentless place that the reality is this is a loss. It's over. And it can be a brutal process. It can take a long time until you feel deserving of investing your own independence and reshaping your own life. Because the person you broke up with, they're going to be desperate for answers. You know what I'm saying? That drive to understand, it consumes you. You want to know. You want to know why that person did what they did. They want to know why you walked away. Just because I did what I did. I thought we were better than that. They're going to be desperate for answers. You're going to fixate on things that your ex said. You know what I'm saying? They're going to start trying to buy into rumors. They're going to start trying to find different reasons, kind of contradict the breakup. They're going to be desperate to find out. And you likely will swing back and forth between like a foggy disbelief and it can't be reality. Moment by moment, you're going to start to rediscover the magnitude of that loss and flashes that painful clarity that it's over. That pain becomes disorganizing and confusing and become all you think about. But initially, you got to remain, you know what I'm saying, driven. Or they try to remain driven. You got to be driven to make sure they understand. They're going to be driven to try to understand what happened at any cost. Okay? That desperation, to try to make sense of, what I'm saying, what just happened. They're going to be going through friends and coworkers, giving their side of it, trying to figure out, what I'm saying, what did I do wrong? Did I do it the right way? Was it just her? Was it just him? What I'm saying, is it me? Is it her? Whatever. You go through all of that trying to figure it out. And so you start trying to convince the other person. And then, of course, they're going to go through denial. I'm saying, this can't be true. This isn't happening. You know what I'm saying? You can't be leaving me to go back with your ex. You can't be leaving me to be by yourself. You can't be leaving me because I cheated. You can't be leaving me because I can't cook. You can't be leaving me because your friends don't like me. They're going to be going through it all. Stay strong. Whatever decision you make. Right now, we need a break. Stay strong on that decision. Right now, we need to break up and I don't want to be with you again. Stay strong on that decision. Then they're going to start bargaining with you. You know what I'm saying? If I do this, are you willing to accept this? You know what I'm saying? What if I become more of this and I become that? Some of this stuff you're going to want to hear. Some of it you're not going to want to hear. If you decide you want to hear it, this is your chance to get everything you want. If you decide you don't want to hear it, this might be the chance you don't get everything that you want. Sometimes it's a day late and a dollar short. Sometimes it ain't the perfect time for that person. You're not logical at this point. And you probably shouldn't be operating heavy machinery. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not thinking rationally. You know what I'm saying? You're standing on the edge of what feels like a cliff. And you're trying not to fall into the unknown. The longer a relationship was in place, the harder it is to accept it. The longer it takes to move on. The worst mistake you can do is move on too soon to someone else. The person who broke up and the person who got broken up with. Because trying to bargain is going to be a part of the process. And you try your hardest during this phase to not lose sight of the fact that both people in this relationship contributed to the end. Because just because you can't cook doesn't mean that he couldn't cook. He chose not to cook. Just because he can't have sex don't mean you had to go have sex with someone else, with another man. You both played a role in that relationship coming to an end. And you can't possibly take the responsibility for everything. But you can take it somewhere else. Inside, you can take it deep down. Bargaining can only be a brief distraction. Okay? Reality is inevitable. And it comes crashing down over and over and over again. So you got to find different ways. And I'm not telling you that no relationship can be salvaged. Because another part of dealing with a breakup is the relapse. That physical part. That sexual part. They did that thing that you like or that thing that you love. And that's okay. But you got to stay true. You can be friends after time. You can even be physical after time. You can get back together after time. But that relapse, because the pain is so intolerable, you don't want to deal with it, that you go back to him or you go back to her and you go back through that pain. And now it causes that last stage, anger. Anger is treacherous. Anger is hurt. Anger is 1,000% real. Initially, you're not be able to connect to your feelings because of the anger. Breaking up, breaking up with somebody if they embarrass you, or you feel embarrassed, or you feel that they never gave you a chance, or you feel that it wasn't warranted, or you feel like, whatever feeling that you're having, right? That anger kicks in. And it's hard, man. It's hard. I'm talking about it's hard. And sometimes the anger is justified. Sometimes that anger is the only thing that matters to you. And it's depending on the temperament of the relationship, right? It doesn't help. If you both are angry people, y'all are going to be fighting, arguing. Sometimes it turns physical. If she's angry and you get angry and you push that button, now she's snapping at you. And vice versa with a man. But the good news is, though, that anger does subside. You have to find a way to redirect it. Me, hop on my motorcycle, I scoot along, right? Anger can be paralyzing. It can be self-defeating. But it's still a part of that grieving process. Because when you get broken up with, it's not what you wanted. Maybe you didn't see it coming. But it propels you to do something that you wasn't ready to do. And then the final stage is you got to start the acceptance. And even during the acceptance, you're still trying to bargain. You're still trying to negotiate. You still got hope. Because just because I had to accept it, don't mean I wanted to accept it. I'm hoping you change your mind. I'm hoping you decide you want to take a break. You're still holding out hope, when in reality, you know that it's not going to happen. And then sometimes it does. People go back more so than they stay broken up. Don't let anybody tell you different. Fact-based. More people end up back with what they know than ended up being with someone else. But all that happens with time. Then you got to redirect that hope. I hope for the best for you. I hope we can be friends one day. I hope that me and you can be that person that 10 years down the line can end up back together. There's different ways to handle different things. Relationships can be stressful, traumatizing, grief-stricken, run your blood pressure up, losing weight. One thing my mama told me, she said, if a woman ever break up with you, the worst thing you can do is lose weight. You don't ever want to think that you couldn't even have a meal without her. Hell, I put on weight the moment you leave, just so you don't ever think I can't eat. But you got to go through this process. You feel like an alien to your own self sometimes, cut off from the world. However, like any emotional thing that amputates you, continuing on with your life, meaning learn how to live without that other person and find the ways to compensate your loss. I really hope that this episode gives somebody something to listen to, something to think about. I told you before, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, the underscore DBL underscore podcast. I'm on Facebook. Some of you know my phone number. Reach out. Okay? The best way to interact with me still is on the DBL podcast.wordpress.com. I'm always on there. I'm always interacting. I'm always posting. I'm always talking. I hope that you guys tune in to my next episode.